What's up, folks? We've got Bernard Porter back on the show. Going to be an absolutely fantastic episode. Great to have him back. He just got back from convention a few days ago. It sounds like it was a great convention. Got a chance to meet a lot of really good people. We're going to be discussing his economic goals in Augusta. And for those who haven't heard of Bernard or haven't seen the episode we did with him a month and a half ago, go over some of his general campaign standpoints and goals he has for Augusta. Um, from the times I've been able to talk with him, text back and forth, he's absolutely fantastic. And I think if you're okay with it, Bernard, we'll go ahead and kind of get a summary of your experience at the convention last weekend.
Oh, great. Yeah, it was the first time I've gone to a convention, and I was really impressed. It was really high energy. Everyone's super motivated. There's a very, very positive attitude about the future there because we all feel like that this is the moment for us to step up and save our state. And everyone's feeling very strongly it's going to happen.
For sure. Now, before we were recording, you mentioned you got to meet Senator Collins. How'd that go?
Wow. She's one of the most powerful people in the Senate.
Sure.
And there I am standing, out of the way, trying to be inconspicuous. And her staff brought her over to take a picture with me. We had a nice little chat, and I was just so impressed that she took time out of everything she's responsible for just to get to know me and
Sure.
ask me what I thought and to listen.
Fantastic. Now, I'm guessing you got a chance to talk with some constituents and kind of hear the concerns. What were some of the top concerns you heard from people while you were there?
Taxes, taxes, taxes.
Sure.
Not just at the convention, but as I go around to my potential constituents and listen to them, the cost of living is killing them,
Mm-hmm.
and it's starting in the Mills administration in Augusta with all the high taxes.
Sure.
Hmm.
What were some of the specific taxes they were looking to get rid of? I know we say taxes broadly speaking, but was there a specific one that people were really hurt by, if you know what I mean?
They all add up to make Maine one of the most expensive,
Sure.
tax basis states to live in. Um, it's income tax, property tax, and other taxes that are really almost insulting. For example, life is getting more expensive. Leaving the house on Friday night costs you $150. So you say,
Yep.
okay, let me stay in and watch a movie. Well, guess what? Now you got to pay a new tax just to watch a movie
So
in your own
stupid.
house. You get taxed for staying in your house and watching a movie. That's humiliating. We shouldn't
Yeah.
be treated like that. It's a small one, but it's important.
Well, it's not just humiliating; it's embarrassing as a state. I mean,
Hmm.
you can go just about anywhere and not have that tax, but you show up to states like Maine where they're being run like that, and all of a
Hmm.
sudden you get taxed to live and breathe.
Yes,
Um,
and if I could jump in there, I'm getting fired up about taxes
yeah,
now. The power to tax is the power to destroy. And there's an old saying, it comes from I think it's, don't quote me, maybe from the Roman Empire. Yeah, I think so. At the beginning of the empire, taxes were low and revenues were high. At the end of the empire, taxes were high and revenues were low.
sure.
And it's just the way it is.
Yeah, no, for sure. Um, what would be your main pitch with taxes? We obviously want to cut taxes, but would there be one that would come first? You know,
Yeah, I want to get rid of property taxes.
sure.
And in this great laboratory democracy, there are other states who are leading the way. Florida is one of them to try to get rid of property taxes. And the evil of property tax is that it's a stealth tax on unrealized capital gains. That means we have a lot of senior citizens and people on fixed incomes here in this state. They've paid off their homes, but they're renting their home from the government every year. And every year those taxes go up,
That's a really
especially
good
when
way to put it.
revaluations come around and their taxes jump 30%. And they get forced out of their homes.
Well said. Yeah, I can't argue with that.
Hmm. Hmm.
I think I've heard that before, but it's been a long time since I've heard the phrase. You
Yeah,
basically renting your home from the government. Uh, yeah, that's well said, and
yeah.
it
And our
shouldn't be that
income
way.
tax. income tax needs to come down way, way down, if not
Sure.
eliminated altogether.
Would we be able to eliminate both, do you think? I mean, it might take some time, but I mean, why not come in? I'm not asking you to endorse a candidate, but I'm backing Bobby Charles. The whole idea of coming in with the axe and cutting the taxes. Would it be possible to take an axe to both of them?
Well, I'm a candidate, so I won't endorse anyone right now. But once we
Sure.
have a winner from our primary, I will be fully 100% supportive of the winner of our gubernatorial primary.
But no matter who wins, though,
Yeah.
being someone in the legislature,
Yeah.
would you be in support of legislation that would kill both taxes, whether it's
It,
Bobby or somebody else?
if we can find a way to do it, yes,
Okay,
absolutely. Hmm.
good.
Hmm. Yeah.
That would
And,
be
you know,
and that would be a big incentive for people like myself to come back and live in the state full time. I mean, I'm a college student, but
right.
in a couple of years when I'm no longer a college student, as much as I want to go back, I don't know if I will due to the incredibly high cost of living. So if we could, that would be an incentive for me and probably a lot of other people to come back.
There are a lot of Mainers who want to live here, but they can't.
Sure,
Hmm.
definitely.
I have personal stories about that.
Yep. No, you're
Yeah.
darn right. I did an interview with Representative Smith, and I haven't uploaded it yet. But the very similar stories of young people, roughly my age, I'm 21, that age group. Yeah, we love Maine, but we're not coming back. Why would
Hmm.
we?
Hmm.
We're
Yeah.
penalized to live there.
Yeah,
Um,
I actually have a lot of young people volunteering on my campaign for the Get Out the Vote for the youth.
yeah,
They are very excited to fix this.
why wouldn't
Mhm.
I think that's something that has changed. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember. Let's see, the first election cycle I was active with was 2022, and as I've gone on, I've seen an increase in activity amongst people my age, especially with organizations like Turning Point. But
Mhm.
even with
Yes.
the campaigns going on right now, what you just said, and along with another gubernatorial campaign,
Mhm.
there are some folks that have really stepped up. We're
Yeah,
sick of the garbage.
I'm glad you mentioned Turning Point. Last Tuesday night, I went up to Belfast to attend the inaugural kickoff meeting of their new Turning Point USA chapter.
How'd that go?
It was great. They're motivated,
Yep.
very motivated. Yeah, and uh, they're courageous.
Mm,
They're courageous, and the one thing that we talked about was be not afraid.
yep.
Be not
Darn
afraid.
right.
Yeah.
Well, we need more people like that, and I have to give Turning Point credit.
Mhm.
They have done a fantastic job having chapters set up that are appealing to people of all ages, but especially folks my age and younger,
Mhm.
and they're well organized.
Yes.
There's something that I've noticed, and I'm assuming you've noticed it as well. Correct me if I'm wrong. Republicans are terrible at organizing things. We don't get along well. And I go to a Turning Point event like here on campus. We had a watch party for the State of the Union there a couple months ago. It was well organized. It was highly attended. It was welcoming. It was everything that Republicans have struggled to pull off with their events and meetings for years now.
Right. Right. We do have that rugged individualism.
And I'm not saying we should fall victim to groupthink, but at the same
Yes.
time, we've got a mission to complete, and I have to give
Yeah.
it to them. Just organizations here on campus, Students for Life, Turning Point, Young Americans for Freedom. They're locked in and they're well organized and they're incredibly effective.
Yep. Voter registration drives and getting out the vote. Getting out the vote is the key task of this whole thing. If we don't do that, then nothing else matters.
Yeah. Now we're getting close to the primary, and honestly, elections they seem really far out, but November's going to be here
Mhm.
like that. How confident do you feel right now about the campaign so far?
I feel really good. Um, I was apprehensive in the beginning, especially as I'm going out in the communities, in the towns, in my district, and meeting potential voters. They are very receptive.
Yeah.
Only one or two people have said, "Oh, Republican, no," and that's out of hundreds and hundreds, hundreds and hundreds that I've met already. I would say 99% are very receptive to having another option other than the
Yep.
one they currently have.
Well, you're in a relatively blue district, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I'm excited. And I'm confident that I can do this because I have the organizational experience
for sure.
and the discipline and the drive, and I have the time. I retired from my second career last May, so I have the
Oh,
time to
no.
invest in this.
If you don't mind me asking, what were you doing before this?
Okay. So I'm a retired Army officer. I was in the Army for
Okay.
25 years. I
Well, thank you for your
enlisted.
service.
You know what? It was the biggest honor of my life to lead young men and women in combat.
Mm.
And when I was
Yeah.
doing that, I wish someone had walked up to me and handed me a card that said, "You will never be this cool again in your life." Because they're, they're so awesome and they're so motivated, and you know, if they're our future's in good hands.
Yep.
So, yeah, it was my first career, and I did a lot. I helped stand up organizations. I helped stand up the Army's Counter Weapons of Mass Destruction Unit, the 20 Support Command, and I
Mm-hmm.
got deployed to Iraq again to help remediate the remainder of Saddam's nuclear program as a legacy
Sure.
program. I moved 550 metric tons of yellow cake through downtown Baghdad in the middle of the night to the transshipment airfield. All right, it's during a very hot war.
Jeez.
That's
Okay.
responsibility. Okay. That's
You're darn right.
responsibility. One mistake and Baghdad would be surrounded by yellow tape to this day and for a lot longer in the future.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I had my command. I was in charge of 800 people for several years.
Yep.
And that was great. Love that. Um, and something I do need to tell you, one of the things I'm learning to do as a candidate is to promote myself because I've always been very quiet about my achievements.
Yep.
But at the end of my command, I was rated by a two-star general as the in the top 3% of all company commanders that she
Wow.
rated. Yeah. Which was very difficult. And I'm going to
Yeah.
tie this into something. One of the reasons for that was my stellar performance in the Department of the Army Inspector General inspection, which is
Sure.
arduous. It is one of the most arduous inspections you could ever imagine going through, and I received commendable ratings in multiple inspection areas.
Yep.
So now, when I look at the Senate and the Senate's responsibilities to conduct oversight, I don't see it happening at all. In fact, what was it, LD 129 to protect the children in DHHS was just rejected by the Senate leadership yesterday. They refused to vote on it because they just wanted to select few people to be able to see the data, to peer into the data that DHS has as to why over 150 children have died in their care over the last couple of years.
Hmm.
And that's
Wow.
oversight. That's a Senate responsibility. And they rejected their responsibility to take care
Yep.
of the children that are in the state's care. I
Yep.
can't think of anything more serious.
Yeah. No. It's
Yeah.
a pretty big deal. I mean, the
Yeah.
current leadership kind of has a track record, though, of not caring about our children, considering
Mhm.
their performance. I mean, whether it's young adults or children, their radical stances on abortion, it's
Mhm.
abortion up till birth. And I know you're in a more moderate district, but I think we could all agree, let's at least go back to what the law was.
We
No
want
one
to
agrees with
make
the late term abortion stances.
we want to make Maine an attractive place to bear children, raise a family, and give the men and women of Maine the best opportunity to do so with lots of love and support.
Exactly.
hmm
Safe,
so
smart, affordable communities.
yeah. So the reason I went into that is as I was talking about my career, I'm very good at oversight. I'm fantastic at it. It's not hard. You go in and you do it. So then after that, I helped stand up the Army's Cyber Command after my command. They sent me over there, and I was like, I didn't want to go. I wanted to get back in the fight. But
Yep.
little did I realize that the future fight was right there at Army Cyber Command, and I was responsible for current intelligence operations planning, fusion, and I actually deployed to help other commands stand up their cyber capabilities.
Yep.
I didn't do it all myself as a technical expert. I had technical experts working for me, but I went to all their schools, and the bottoms up planning skills that I learned in Army Special Operations I brought with me. And people want to do a good job when they wake up
Yep.
in the morning. Okay. And this translates across to all career fields and all sectors. Okay. So all you have to do is, if you want to fix a broken organization, talk to the people who are doing the job. Ask them, hey, what's broke? How can we do it better? They will tell you. Most organizations are broken by poor leadership.
Yep.
And the reason I'm bringing that up is we have a lot of great employees in the state of Maine, but we have broken leadership that's breaking everything.
Mm.
And, I'm very confident we will win in November. We can start fixing this state. And I would like to have a participatory process to bring in our subject matter experts who are doing the job
Sure.
and do some bottoms up planning.
Yep.
So
No, for sure.
my second career, I was hired by the U.S. Treasury Department in the cybersecurity area, and I worked on program management, budget, strategic planning. I'm going to bring that up later in our economics discussion. I led the development of the Treasury's. I led the development of the U.S. Department of the Treasury's cybersecurity strategic plan for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Wonderful thing. And then I was I was selected to work in acquisitions. So my last contract was a $20 billion contract to consolidate all the cybersecurity services, security operations centers for the Treasury Department. Sounds like a lot of money, but they were dispersed over 11 bureaus. I consolidated that into one contract where we saved the taxpayers a lot of money, because not only did the vendors have to qualify on technical capability, but on price. And we have 10 vendors on the contract. So when you need a good or service, you can get it immediately. And the vendors have to compete again on price. And when you select a winner, you negotiate them down again on price.
Yep.
So we saved a lot of money. We weren't burning it like they burn money up in Augusta.
So what
Those
you
are my
want to
two
do is
careers.
take your experience there and
Yeah.
save the state money from Augusta,
Yeah. Right, right. I have a
Sure.
lot of experience saving money for large organizations and bringing large organizations into compliance.
Sure.
Hmm.
What do you think you could do specifically from Augusta taking that experience there?
Oversight. Okay,
Yeah.
our first and foremost biggest problem is fraud, waste, and abuse. We don't know how deep it goes, but I would venture out to say it's at least 20% of our budget is being stolen. Okay, so with oversight, here's what happens. But we don't know how much it is yet because there is no oversight.
Yeah.
So what you do is you get, especially when it comes to Maine Care, all these organizations that are stealing our money, okay, you just get them to reapply. Say, hey, we want you to come in person and reapply. We want to see your business address, your list of employees, your list of customers or clients. Okay, it doesn't even have to be rigorous, but as soon as you start providing oversight, the fraudsters will self-select out. They don't want to go to jail.
Yeah.
And they will disappear. And you bring your good companies in. And here's one thing I learned as a commander in the military: when you uphold the standards, your good employees rise to the top, your bad employees self-select out.
Yeah.
And it goes to vendors as well. It's a truth. Hmm.
No, they darn
Yeah, and
right.
of course, you start with your mission and business critical services, your most critical services to the most people who are most in need. You make sure you have the resources before, okay? Then you educate your vendors, you train your vendors, and you give them a window to reapply. After that window closes, they're out of luck. But you focus on the critical needs, and then those less critical, fluffy needs, they can come later.
Sure.
And there's indicators. There's so many indicators of fraud.
Yeah. No, definitely.
Mm.
Now, I know there's a lot of people that haven't been satisfied with some of the things that have happened in DC as of lately. I myself am one of them. But here in the state of Maine, we have a small state. You can be a lot more I guess you can know your representatives a lot better. Therefore, they're a lot more trustworthy. Therefore, I think an organization like a Maine version of Department of Government Efficiency might work. Do you
Yeah,
think having a Maine Doge would be effective, run
absolutely.
by people like yourself and Representative Perkins and other people like that?
Oh yeah, yeah. We get some forensic accountants in there,
Sure.
some IT savvy people.
Yeah. I guess I wasn't. I wanted to see more from what happened at the federal level, but here at the state level, I think we can urge our representatives to do a better job than what we saw at the federal level. I really think there's that potential. And if speaking from a younger perspective, we wanted to see change and we haven't seen the full change we were promised. But what I keep saying to people is at the state level, I know the representatives, I know a lot of them. I can talk to
Mhm.
them, I can talk to them personally. They are more trustworthy than someone who's a couple hours away in DC that you'll never meet.
Right. And our
And
Republican representatives are very responsive.
there's a lot of them that are fantastic.
Mhm.
I've shared this story a million times at this point, I swear. But when I moved down here to Virginia for college, Representative Perkins calls me and checks in to see how the move went. Like, are you kidding me? Well,
Yeah,
it
that's,
meant a lot, but you don't see that from a lot of upper level individuals. That's no shade to them, but they don't have time to do that in the first place.
mhm,
So I would trust, especially a lot of the Maine Republicans, to actually pull that project off and do
mhm.
a much better job. Um, but I do think we'd have to apply some serious accountability and pressure from the public to actually get it done effectively.
Mhm.
Um,
Maine is like even though it's a state, it's like a small town as well.
yeah.
Yeah, in fact, one of my volunteers I was talking to had a conference call earlier today. One of the youth volunteers for getting out the vote.
Mm.
We were talking about our schedule. I said, "Oh, I also have a podcast with Sam Bridges at 4." She goes, "Oh, I went to high school with Sam."
Who was it?
Uh, I'll tell you after.
Okay, okay. That's awesome. That's not the
Yeah,
first time I've had interactions with people. They'll be in the political world and they'll have folks say, "Hey, I ran into so and so. They went to high school with you."
yeah, yeah.
It's a
That's
small
what.
town.
That's a part of the beauty of Maine.
Yep.
It is like a small town. The whole state.
Yep. But it's a small town that reaches out too.
Mhm.
I'm working down here part time while I'm in class, and there was a guy. He either said it from my accent or something else, but he put it together that I was from Maine.
Yeah,
And he says, "What part?" And I'm thinking, dude, you're in Virginia. You're not going to know where I'm from.
right.
Oh, he was stationed in Loring back in the day, back
Yeah,
when it was open, a functional Air Force base. He was
yeah,
stationed there. He knew
yeah,
every little bit of where I was from. I'm thinking that's about the coolest thing. Maine,
yeah.
it spreads to everywhere.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, okay, speaking of spreading to everywhere, this is a little bit of a segue. What could we do to bring manufacturing back to Maine? We've got an outreach in our social side of things where everybody seems to have some connection to Maine, whether it's the middle of nowhere parts or Bar Harbor, but the economic connection is not there. What can we do to build the economic connection, especially from the manufacturing side
Number
of things?
one, we need to lower the cost of electricity.
Okay.
Elon Musk said it quite well. And what I really like about him is he makes the complex simple. So
Okay.
Elon said, electricity is a proxy for industrial might. It is the foundation of our economy. We're losing sawmills now because the electricity rates jumped so much this year.
Yeah.
Those are foundational jobs. We're losing foundational jobs that our state relies upon, that our families in our state rely upon. There's also our tax base.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, I think Milo Chip just closed a couple. It
Yeah.
was within the last 2 years. There was another
Yeah.
one in the Milo area. I think it was in the Milo area. Just closed recently.
It's
Another
heartbreaking.
big business. Yeah.
Mhm. And it's intentional because they're putting very, very expensive, they call it green renewable energy, which is not that green or renewable, right?
Yeah.
At the top of the list. You are forced to buy the more expensive electricity before you have access to the least expensive electricity.
Now, what do you mean by that? I guess I have to admit ignorance on that side of things.
Okay, so The windmills and the solar people get priority on selling their electricity into the network at a
Yep.
higher rate. They get to sell it first at a higher rate before
Really?
natural gas, hydro. Yeah.
That's insane.
Mhm.
Okay, so now speaking of energy, this is a valid question that I think it needs to be asked. Would you be in support of making it so that if there's a hydro dam here in the state of Maine that can produce power or is
Yeah,
producing power, make sure that it has to be serving Maine first,
absolutely.
rather than being sold to out-of-state locations?
Why would we do that? Why would we export our electricity when we're starving for it here at home?
Thank you. Yep. Exactly. Exactly.
I would clamp
Uh,
down on that right away.
it doesn't. I have to admit, I haven't personally verified it. From what I've heard, there's a dam. Oh shoot, I don't remember where it is. It's a little bit further north in the state, and they don't use it to generate power, and it gets sold out of state only
Yeah.
when the out of state locations need an extra boost.
For some reason, they put a cap. The Mills administration put a cap on the amount of hydroelectricity that can be produced. I don't know why. I don't know the details on it right now, but we need to lift that cap.
Yeah, you're darn right we do.
It's clean, it's renewable, but you don't get the
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
not convinced that the solar panels and the windmills are on the up and up financially.
they're surely not.
Yeah,
I'm no financial guru, but I can see the foolishness on the horizon when it's there. And
yeah,
what's actually in my government course right now, uh, poli sci major here at Liberty. I was reading, and we have an economics textbook we have to read from, and it was talking about how subsidies create artificial demand
yeah,
for things that the people don't really want. And
yeah.
as a businessman, if I was in the solar industry, you best believe I'd be putting as many in the state of Maine if the government's just going to give me a blank check to do them.
Yeah.
But as soon as that blank check stops coming, bye, I'm done. All right, the money's not there. Why would I keep investing in that area?
Subsidies distort the market. And here's the other hazard with that. How many of those solar panel contracts have some sort of bond or surety to remediate the mess at the end of the life cycle? Or they
Yep.
just declare bankruptcy and walk away and say, "Hey, sorry," and now some guy's got to bulldoze all the solar panels into the corner of his field where they leach PFAS into the groundwater
Yep.
and other toxic industrial chemicals and materials.
Yep. Nope. I
Yeah,
agree completely.
yeah,
I'm the solar panel. They drive me nuts. It's been quite a few years now. You think about it. Oh, let's see. I started going to Bangor Christian for high school in 2019, and throughout that period, there were more and more fields on my commute to school that started to pop up with solar panels, and you could just see the writing on the walls. If someone like Janet Mills continues to be governor, we're going to see solar panels everywhere. Nobody
right.
likes them. They look terrible. Last I
So
checked, we have billboards made illegal here in the state of Maine, but we can throw solar panels up everywhere. I thought we were a state that tried to keep things looking natural.
yeah, and here's the danger of if the Democrats win. Here's how they're going to destroy our state. There is a 10-year economic plan that I was just reading up on earlier that the Mills administration put out, and their goal is 80% green energy by 2030 and 100% by 2040. Right, that's
Wow.
what, 3.5 years from now, 3 and 3/4 years from now,
Yeah, it's not far away.
and that would put the price of electricity right through the roof. We'd all be freezing to death all winter long.
We sure would.
Really, it would result in deaths because of the spike in electricity prices. And
Well, I
that's
mean, just think
ridiculous.
about it. They're the same people that wanted to force us to be on electric vehicles, too. How
Right.
would we charge
Mhm.
them if that plan ever went through?
Yeah.
Holy mackerel.
Oh my goodness. But there's kind of humorous parts in it, right? I was looking at the transportation part, fixing our roads and bridges, looking at our infrastructure. What did they put in there? Ride sharing, right? That's their plan.
Wow. That drives me nuts. I really don't know what to say to that. That's insane.
Yeah.
Force everything to be electric, but not have a source for the electricity that's reliable.
Right.
If they had gotten their way, also make us all have electric vehicles. Try to save the environment with things that aren't actually going to save the environment. And
Yeah, I've
nuts.
since I started my campaign, I've been looking at overpasses on 295. You look at it, you see the concrete bridges. You can see where the concrete is falling off, and you can see exposed rebar that is rusting, and that affects the structural integrity of the bridge. And that's our
Yeah.
artery 295.
Yep. What? Okay, you mentioned the infrastructure. That's a big thing. What could we do to deregulate some of these processes? I want to have good quality bridges and roads, but at the same time, I at least when I left, would have been about December. There's a section of 95 that goes over Broadway in Bangor
Mm-hmm.
that's been ripped apart and has had a temporary bridge set up for at least a year, if not almost 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So we could build a temporary bridge that's rated for as many cars to go by as needed in about 5 minutes, but we can't replace the actual bridge.
Right, right.
In how many years have they had to do it?
Yeah.
I guess what could we do to deregulate and say, hey, guys, get done what you need to get done as fast as possible.
Well, this goes to cutting out the fraud, waste, and abuse, okay, and allocating our resources towards common goods that actually serve the public, which is the mission of government, right? The common good.
Sure.
And I tell you, Senator Collins, as the chair of the Senate Appropriations Committee, she's one of the most powerful people in D.C. She has done an amazing job of getting funding for Maine's infrastructure, but I don't think that the Mills administration deploys it properly.
You're darn right they don't.
And they're not contributing to it, really. We're not seeing improvements.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Could we, I'm not an expert on bridge building. I'm not an expert on road maintenance. I know enough to be dangerous, to maintain a house in the future, but more than that, I don't really know. So I don't expect everybody to be an expert on all type of infrastructure that the state would have to deal with. But would you be willing to, I guess, start a project from DC and go in and see what type of regulations are present with different infrastructure projects, let's say roads and bridges, go through and analyze and say, hey, this doesn't need to be there, this doesn't need to be there, and this doesn't need to be there, and get rid of them completely?
Well, I definitely work through our federal House and Senate reps to see what's going on in there. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, no, I definitely think we need more deregulation, in as many ways as possible. Now, I don't want to end up in certain cases. Certain states have deregulated so much that they're falling apart on the other side of things. But,
Yeah.
We're overregulated at this point.
Well, yeah, regulations stifle economic growth.
Yeah.
And we need to reduce the regulations that impact growth.
Yep.
And prosperity.
Sure. I just did an interview with Sean Packard. He's running for office from Waterville, and he was talking about the amount of I don't remember the exact number, but I think it was over 100 different regulations just to run a small business right there in Waterville.
Yeah. I have an example. A week or two ago, I went to the Freeport town meeting, and I was talking to people and listening to people, and I met an oyster farmer who he has an oyster farm, and he has a restaurant where he sells his oysters. He said it took him 5 years to get his oyster license.
What?
Right. So really what we need to do is we need to put a time frame on it. If you apply for a permit or a license to start a business, if the state doesn't respond within a certain amount of time, it should be automatically granted.
Yeah, you're darn right it should.
Mm-hmm. But On the other end, on the government side, we need to resource the state employees who are approving these permits, looking at them and approving. They need to be properly resourced. That comes out of the
Sure.
budget. Okay, but that's a small portion, a tiny, tiny pittance to make sure that our businesses can stand up and operate.
Yeah.
But I would definitely be in favor of that. Hey, you got this much time. If you don't respond, you have a business license. Go.
Yeah. Good.
Hmm.
That's the way it should be.
Yeah. And
I,
the people regulating him are telling him how to do his job in a way that doesn't make economic sense for him. And they have no
yeah.
experience basically in the fishing industry. So we need veterans of the fishing industry who understand the business to be involved in regulation,
Sure.
common sense regulation to help our fishermen thrive.
Yeah. I agree.
Mhm. Like any yeah.
No, definitely. I agree. Get rid of excessive regulation
Mhm.
and bring people in that actually know what they're talking about.
Yeah. Find the friction points and the barriers and reduce them.
Sure.
Hmm.
No, and what could we do to dive in on those areas? Define those friction points. What could we do there?
Talk to the people starting businesses and operating businesses. They will tell you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like
They'll,
that.
yeah. They will tell you exactly where you can find them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Good. No, I agree with that completely. Well, in that case, I think we've covered quite a bit. We've gone over a bit of your experience there at
Thanks.
convention and deregulation, a whole bunch of different things. On the economic side of things, we mentioned taxes. Give me like one, two, three, maybe four, five things of what would be your top economic priorities when you're in Augusta.
Well, we just talked about deregulation. That's
Yep.
one, right? Looking at ways to reduce property tax. Um, our schools have a ton of administrative bloat. I think
Hmm.
our educational budgets are bloated. Uh, we need to empower good teachers and remove administrative constraints so we
Mm,
can reduce our school budgets have gone up and up and up, and our student performance has gone down, down, down.
exactly.
Okay, so something's not working. We need to look into that.
Yeah.
Um, so reduce taxes. Okay, fraud, waste, and abuse. Reduce taxes. Reduce regulations. Um, streamline the permitting processes,
Yep.
and find improve our infrastructure. Okay, and that's power, electricity, transportation, and digital. Because we're a beautiful state. Our people are so smart and resourceful, but remember, we're at the end of the line. If we want to attract business, we need to be much more attractive and competitive than other states.
Sure.
Mhm.
Now, when you say digital infrastructure, what do you mean by that?
Um, IT, your internet transmission
Sure.
capability, we need to expand that out to make sure the entire state is covered, has
Yeah.
access. Because one of the things I love about Maine is that you find world class talent where you least expect it. And you say,
Yeah.
What are you doing here, man? You could be in New York or San Francisco, and they'll look at you and say, I love it here. This is where I want to be.
Yeah.
So we need to make sure that our talent and our economic producers have the ability to work from the state.
Yeah. No, I
Mhm.
agree completely. Well, why is Augusta punishing the people that love the state? I'm one of them. The culture of Maine, I love it. It was funny. I was talking with a friend of mine here, grew up in the South, and I mentioned Moxie, and she knew what it was. I was blown away. I,
Mhm.
I was like, ma'am, you grew up in the South. How do you know what that is? And evidently, their father's into specialty sodas and stuff like that. So she knew. But that just proves I love Maine. I love Moxie. I swear there's more of it in my blood than the actual blood. I tell you. I say wicked more than anything.
Right?
I love Maine's culture from what we eat to what we drink to the way we talk to the temperature there. I like it cold,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
but I can't afford to live there.
Hmm. So
Uh,
I think you asked me, why does our Democrat leadership in Augusta behave the way they do? Was that the question?
Broadly speaking, yeah. Then I
Okay,
went on a
so
tangent.
yeah, I love the great Thomas Sowell, one of our legendary economists, and I said, the purpose of a program is what it does. Okay, so
Mm,
look at the outcome of their actions and infer back from that their intent.
yeah.
Okay, and that's
Tax
why,
you to death,
right?
then feed you a little money back, buy your vote, and rinse and
Mhm.
repeat.
And the refusal to provide oversight, not just for the
Yeah,
children in state custody, but for all of the Maine Care programs that are basically robbing Maine Care blind. And the second and third order effect of that is it increases costs for the people who need it, and therefore it denies services to our most vulnerable populations and children who need Maine Care.
sure.
Right. And so failure to provide oversight is heartless and it hurts our citizens.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more.
Hmm.
Well, I have really enjoyed this. I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. We'll definitely have you on again. This is our second episode, and it's been absolutely fantastic. I think we all agree, and a lot of folks do, that regulations need to be cut. We
Hmm.
need businesses to be able to thrive. We need
Hmm.
incentives for people like myself and others to come back.
Yeah.
Got a lot of people that love that state. Get rid of government overreach, lower the cost of living,
Hmm.
bring common sense back to Augusta, and that'll bring a pretty solid potential of a great
Hmm.
future for Maine. So
Yeah. And thank you for bringing up such relevant topics because taxes, the economy, and fraud, waste, and abuse are top priorities for the citizens of Maine.
yeah,
And before I go, I want to put in my plug for Liberty University. I love Liberty. A
I'd
right,
love to hear it too.
all of us had a hand up in life, and Liberty gave me a hand up. When I was down, they made me work for it. Good Lord, did I have to work for it? But I'll always be thankful.
They have really blessed me, and I know I was going to wrap
Yes.
it up, but I'll give them kudos. I really have been blessed. This is my first semester. The community here on campus, just in the last couple months, especially the last month, has been so incredibly welcoming.
Hmm.
Um, the Holy Spirit's alive here on campus, and
Yeah.
it's encouraging.
Hmm.
God's moving. Um,
That's right.
I can't speak highly enough. So,
That's right. All
well, thank you so much, and we will have you on again. God bless.
right. You too. God bless you.
You got it.